That's on. Hello. That can be the intro to the next video. Yeah? Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to another video. And thank you very much, Mr. Andrew McWilliam, for a fantastic introduction to Llandow, which is a bit like Lando Norris if he was Welsh. So, Llandow Norris. I don't know, apparently in Welsh, if you put two L's together, you'd make a sound. Someone who's Welsh can explain it in the comments, I'm sure. Either way, it's round 7 of the Club 100 Championship. We're at Llandow, and we're in for some racing action for the first race of the day. I was actually starting this race from second, and as you saw in that little preview, we had Mr. Andrew McWilliam starting in pole. I was very excited for this. It wasn't particularly hot to start the day. It was very hot on the Saturday. It was a little bit damp at the start of the day, but it had dried up, so there were bits of rain, but we were driving as if it was completely dry, so you might notice some little droplets forming on the camera at points. They made no difference. We're ready to go racing. We're on the outside through the final corner, and indeed the outside for turn 1. It's all about getting a good start, and yeah, we don't get a good start. We drop down to third as Adam Britton just flies past us, and at this point I'm just thinking, well, that's slightly unfortunate, isn't it? So yeah, we're in second, and let's not make any stupid decisions. Let's not have any rash moments, because this is Milky Zero we're talking about. If I do anything, it's taking rash decisions and completely bottling them. So at this point I'm just thinking, right, I'm behind these two in practice, because you get practice before the first heat of the day. I was able to get past Andrew McWilliam quite quickly, and I kind of held the gap to him at about 1.5 to 2 seconds. It was him or Adam Britton who was behind me. So I did have some confidence coming into this heat, and as we approach the end of lap 1, we are still within touching distance, and had pulled a little bit to the driver behind, if I'm not mistaken. So I just wanted to get my head down. I knew that there were many laps to go in this race, right? We had a total of 8. I can only see the timer at that point, and we're talking about, what is it, 8-minute heat. Adam Britton goes up the inside of Andrew McWilliam, and I'm licking my lips. I'm like, right, battle, what are we going to do? We're going to look to the inside, go up the inside of Adam Britton, and yeah, at this point I kind of realised, okay, maybe my kart isn't the best of karts, and maybe I've just happened to have drawn a bad kart out of, or I've been randomly placed in, you know, a not so amazing kart, and I just thought, okay, look, if that's what it is, let's just damage limitation this race. Don't need to do anything dumb, don't need to do anything crazy, let them kill each other. And I can see them battling. I'm thinking, right, okay, I know I've got the raw pace over these guys. If I can just get in front, I can pull away. The issue is getting past, trying to get a drive out of a corner when you're in a car that doesn't have the bottom end. And I was just trying to think smart. I was trying to think, okay, what do I do? And part of me was also thinking, right, let's not battle, because if I battle, the guys behind will be able to catch up, and I can't really defend. Heading though, at the end of lap 5, my brakes just go. Genuinely, go back, I brake at my usual kind of point, and it's like the brakes just didn't work. And for the rest of this lap, I was thinking, oh shit, have the brakes just failed on the car? Can I make it to the end? So I was being really tentative on the brakes for the rest of the lap, and then I kind of realised the brakes are fine. So it was just a very weird thing that happened into the final corner. I still don't know what it was. Maybe it was some of these droplets of rain, but I don't think that was the case. Either way, as we come towards the end of lap 6, we have kind of closed back in a tiny bit, and this was my fastest lap of the day, actually, which, considering I did that in this car, I'm actually quite chuffed about. A 52.4, decent run through the opening couple of corners, send it into the left-hander, hit the first apex, could have carried a bit more speed through the second left, and then into this hook. Again, I think we could have just carried a bit more speed or gone a little bit wide on corner entry. It's very difficult to get right. And then this right-hander, we missed the curb. I still don't know if you want to take that curb. This part of the circuit feels good. You completely throw it in, take the curb all the way through, and just get on the power. And now we're in striking distance, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to have one more lap after this lap. I need to find the right moment to overtake. I need to get the best of exits out of the low speed corners so that even though the car isn't on its best day, we can still find a way through, and we get a really good run coming out of turns 1 and 2. We lose that little bit on the exit of 3, and I'm just thinking, right, we've got to go for it. Send it up the inside. Andrew McWilliam, fair play to him. He leaves me space on the inside. I know there'd be a few drivers who might turn in, not see me in quotation marks. We try to get the switchback coming out of the hook. Can't make it work. We've got a slot in behind, and at this point I'm thinking, right, there's only one more place to do it. I don't have the low end drive. I have to do it into the final corner, and I need to get the best of runs through this complex, and we get a pretty good run. We are as close to the back of Andrew McWilliam as we have been for the entire race. We see the door open, so we're going to send it up the inside. Could have gone a little bit later on the brakes, and on corner exit we just don't have the drive. So we take P3, and to be honest, P2 to P3 with the cards that I've been dealt, I will take it. I'm not disappointed with it. I think if I go back, maybe I could have got second, but in fairness, I don't think I could really hope to do much more. It was a very good damage limitation race, and I will take that one hands down. With that said though, let's go on to our second race of the day. This race, we were starting in 4th place, and I think we've just come out of the pits. And at this point, I think Matt Ellis decides that he wants to have a look at the drivers behind him. And then me, looking at Matt Ellis spinning, went into the back of Mr. James Martin. See, I learnt his first name. It's no longer Patrick Martin. I failed my legal dispute with his lawyers over him changing his name, so he is still James Martin. But we are starting this race from 4th place, and after the first heat, I wanted to have a good race, but James Martin and Steph starting on pole, very quick drivers, and I knew I'd have my work cut out, but I know that I'm quick enough to win this heat. So let's see what we can do. We're getting ready for the race start, just a final corner to navigate. The pace car is going to pull off, and then we are ready to get racing. We're on the outside. That does mean that things are a little bit more difficult into the opening couple of corners. And one of the weird things at Llandow is that the start finish line is angled, so you have to be very careful on the anti-pole side not to get a jump start. Away we go, and yeah, there was a little bit of loading, and before anyone says I pushed James Martin, I went into the grass as well, and I'll have you know, if I push someone off through turn 1, I'm not going into the grass myself. There was a lot of loading. I had Andrew McWilliam behind me who was pushing me because he himself was also being pushed, so there was just a big pushing train on the outside, and rightfully so, the officials deemed that we should restart the race. And then look at this harassment that I'm getting from the leading 2, just looking at me, shaking their heads. Absolutely disgusting behaviour. No, I'm joking. It's fair enough. To be honest, if I was in James Martin's position, I would have done the same. But we are ready to go racing once again, and hopefully less loading, no loading. Also, Steph was very cheeky. He did a really fast lap, so James Martin couldn't catch up quickly, in the hope that we'd have one extra rolling lap, so one less lap for him to lead the race. But away we go. We give James Martin a little push just so he can get past Matt Ellis, and it's actually quite close between them. A little bit of bumping between the two. We back up because otherwise we get squeezed out onto the grass. Matt Ellis says, let's work together, and I say, yeah, sure, but I'm going to go up here inside first. We have a little moment with the rear end as we kind of drift out a bit on the exit of a turn 4. But with that, we're up into 3rd. This is where I want to be. I want to be hunting down those leading 2. And I can't really hope for much more from the start. It's quite tricky to gain loads of positions through the opening few corners at Llandow, like it is at, let's say, Buckmore or Wilton Mill, even Bayford Meadow. So it's a chicane. You kind of have to go through 2x2. So P3 is about as much as I can hope for from this opening lap, and we are within touching distance of the leading 2 as we round the final corner to start lap number 2. And as I say that, let's cut on over to lap 3 because we have closed in to the leading 2. We are well and truly a part of this battle. We have pulled away from the drivers behind, and I'm just eyeing up this tasty looking positions in front of me, thinking, okay, what am I going to do? And I have a think, do I want to send it up the inside into the hook and I realised I didn't have any balls, so we didn't go for the move. We sit behind. We lose loads of time on corner exit as well because we took that slightly tighter line into the corner. And again, it's just that slightly bad decision making. If I just stuck behind, I would have been a little bit closer. We get a decent run coming on to the back straight, and I'm just seeing these two in front battling, thinking, okay, how can I pick up the pieces? Do I want to send it up the inside? James Martin has to think about it, makes contact with Steph, so we say, hey, let's look for a switchback. But we don't quite get the drive out, and we have to slot in behind Mr. James Martin once more. At this point, I was kind of eyeing up the send into turn 2, and I was just watching James Martin to see how he was taking the corners. It seemed that he was leaving that big gap on the apex, trying to turn in nice and late in for that left-hander. So I was thinking, okay, if that's how you drive, there's a big hole available for me to send my car into. And again, that's something just to be careful. Sometimes when you go for sends, it might work on one driver but not on another, so it helps just to be that little bit careful by observing how the driver in front is driving, right? Are they driving in a way that would allow you to make that kind of send? And I came to the conclusion that yes, he was. Ooh, we almost go into the back of Mr. Martin, so we switch over to the left, try to get a nice switch back. Again, it feels like we're going to get a decent drive, don't quite get it. And this is where we go for that send. Up the inside we go. Fair play to James Martin. He hangs it around the outside. I've got to back out of the move, otherwise I might get squeezed off the circuit. And we say, look, one send doesn't work, you go for another one. Up the inside we go into the double left-hander, and we make it work. But he's on our inside, so switchback time. Lovely jubbly. Again, we get an alright drive. We're kind of side by side going up the inside now into the right-hander. We make the move work, job done. But now we've got 1.5 laps to catch Steph, who's about a second ahead. So, it's time to queue up the Eurobeat. Oh, look at that. We've already caught up to the back of Steph. Thank you very much, Mr. Eurobeat, for assisting us in our quest up the field. Also, I'm going to throw this in. Steph, I know you're going to kill me for this, but it has to be done. I knew Steph was an Arsenal fan. I didn't realise he took their ability to choke leads to heart. Insert picture of Manchester City beating Arsenal. Well, anyway, we're on the back of Steph as we head in. I'm sorry. Oh dear, oh dear. We get a really good run though, coming out of the back corner. Not quite good enough, and now I'm thinking we have to go for it. It's the last lap of the race. We look to the inside. I know Steph's going to defend. Go to the outside. Look for the switch back. We get the drive. We're alongside. Drag race to the line, and we win by 22 thousandths of a second, 200ths of a second. Apparently I gave Steph a tiny squeeze coming up to the line. Looking back at it, I think I did. Again, it's just how turn 1 goes, and JV had given a briefing about it as well. I should have given more space. I would like to say I had the drive and I would have won it anyway, but that's just to help me sleep at night. Either way, cracking battle, and to be honest, I think that's the closest finish I've had in Club 100, and I was quite ecstatic because after heat 1, and even in this heat, I think my car was struggling a little bit on low end. I will take that result hands down. So for our final heat of the day, and then we have our finals as well, of course, we were starting a little bit further down the order. We're starting down in P9. So we've had our front 2 heats, our second and our fourth. Now we've got our 9th place heat. You can see there are a few droplets of rain, not affecting the conditions at all, still driving as if they are completely dry. It's a big grid. We've got Rhiannon Percox, we've got Rob Newman, we've got James Martin in this heat. We've got David Cottrell, who had some very good races in the lightweight sprint 60 race. We're on the outside, Rob Newman's on the inside, and again, I know this race is going to be tough, so I just want to make sure I don't make any mistakes as we make our exit on to this little straight that leads into the right hand. I believe they call this tree line corner or tree line straight. It's not been the greatest of opening laps. We haven't gained any positions, but we haven't lost any, so that is perfectly fine as David Cottrell fully sends over the curb. we get a very nice run over the curbs, and now I'm thinking, do I go for the send? Of course we go for the send. We need to clamber our way up the field. To be honest, I don't think I was planning on sending. I just braked at my braking point, realised I was closing in, so just eased off the brakes slightly so that the car could slide up the inside. As we move towards the end of lap 2, we have caught up to another unwilling, unsuspecting, innocent victim. Oh wait, I just spoiled it. Yes, he is a victim because we are going to do another send. We already looked to the inside, and up the inside we go into the final corner. Job done, God bless. And we have gained a position. I don't know what is wrong with me today. I'm sorry, guys. It's probably just how bad my Llandow Norris joke was. And I'm still trying to, you know, regain some sense of humour since that point. But lap 4, we have closed up to this battle for P3. Rob Newman has to send up the inside of James Martin. We say, hey, is that a bad exit, Mr. Martin? How about I introduce you to my front nose up your inside? And James Martin says, how about I introduce you to hanging around the outside? And Mr. Martin hangs on to the position beautifully. We've had some really good battles with James Martin this season. We had 1 or 2 races with him at Rye House, and now this is our second battle with him in a heat at Llandow. So, very good fun as we head into the final corner to start lap 5 of the race. And speaking of lap 5, here we are. Rob Newman, really nice send up the inside of Rihanna Percox, and that kind of bunches everything up, and we say to Mr. Martin, hey, want to see our inside again? And James Martin says, want to see me hang it? Oh, wait, never mind, because we are up a position. We're behind Rihanna Percox now, and I'm searching for a way through. So we hold it tight through the left-hander so we can kind of slingshot out. That completely fails, so we are going to have to just deal with hanging behind Rihanna for now. As we move on to lap 6, we get a decent run as we head into this double left-hander. Slow in, fast out has seemingly worked for us. We look to the outside, we're looking for that good old switcheroo, but we just don't quite get the drive, even though we get the switch back. And again, I mean, you guys know how I am with this. I'm very honest. I think I had some bad luck with the karts. I think this has probably been my worst round in terms of kart luck. But we have closed into Rihanna again, and kart luck be damned. We're going to go for these moves nonetheless. We get a really good run through the double left-hander, so we're going to send it up the inside of the right. I think I just clipped Rihanna's rear, but I don't think I sent her wide. I think she was going a bit wide anyway. She's on my outside, so we brake nice and late in to the right-hander. We gain the position, and then Rob's just too far up the road. So with that, we kind of have to settle for P4. But as I was saying, I think in all 3 of these heats, I think my car has just been struggling that little bit on low end. Again, these are all different karts, so I think I've just had bad luck. And as the season goes on, sometimes you have good luck, sometimes you have bad luck. And I think this was one of the rounds where, again, a little bit of bad luck, but I'm very, very happy with the job I was able to do with the heats that I had, with the starting positions that I had. This is the A final. We're starting from P6, and as you can see, it is wet. It rained during the C final very, 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 very heavily. Not quite monsoon, but it made it wet. But the track was drying. I'd put on my wetsuit, I'd then taken it off. Harrison Kirkham's in front of me. God damn it, Harrison, why are you always in front of me? It's very annoying. But he's got his wetsuit on, we don't, therefore we have the advantage, right? That's how it works. Away we go then for the final race of the day at Llandow. Bryn Albert starting in second. He had an absolutely mega day. We end up getting squeezed wide. As we rejoin the circuit, I'm like, you know what, it's not too bad. Maybe we're down to 14th or something. And then I get squeezed off. And then I get hit again while I'm on the grass. And we drop down to the very back of the field. And thankfully, there is a race restart. But honestly, when I went on the grass the second time, I just thought, you know what, it's just one of those days. It's not my like. I wasn't pissed or anything. I just thought, it is what it is. But yeah, thankfully the race was restarted. I was actually quite excited to race in the rain because of the success I had at Clay earlier on in the year in the wet for the UKC. It does seem though my wet weather skills are limited to Clay and Clay only. I know slight spoilers for this one, but at Clay I was only about half a second off the pace of the quickest guys, maybe the third quickest on circuit. Here I was about 1.5 to 2 seconds off the pace. I was slowly improving, but away we go then for the second start. We back off. I'm very scared of what happened last time. Sam Lovelace goes up our inside, covers off the inside into turn 2, and we back out through 3. So Mr. James Martin can... Sorry, that's not James Martin. Oh my god, who is that? I'm forgetting who that is now. Anyway, who is that? I don't know how I'm not remembering who that is. That is... No, James Martin finished behind me. But anyway, we are... Oh my god, this is really annoying me. It's whoever's in cart number 9. And it's really frustrating as they go drifting on the exit off the right hand. Rob Newman overtook us as well on the outside of that double left-hander. Fantastic move from Rob. He was on an absolute charge through the fields, starting behind me. Had a couple of bad heats or so. That's it. It's... Wait, Douglas... No... Okay, this is really frustrating me, and I don't have the results on my second monitor, so I can't check it right now. But whoever you are, I know who you are, and your name's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember it right now, as my goat, Dan Seeger, goes up my inside. You know Dan, he's always looking for a cameo, so he just had to send it up my inside. No respect for his elders and his better drivers. But there you go. So I drop back at this point because I don't want to see Dan. I don't want Dan to get as much camera time, because you know you have to pay for that. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but either way, we're skipping all the way to lap 9 because not much happened and I didn't drive very well. So I don't want you guys to see just how bad my wet weather driving is. I want you to see this, like me catching up in the wet to... I know it's cart number 9, but I can't remember the driver's name because I know James Martin has like a really nice helmet design. Anyway, I think our fastest time was a 103.3. The fastest lap of the day or of this race in the wet was a 101.8. So we were 1.5 seconds off, and that was Rob Newman who did a 101.8. Everyone else was in like the low 102, so we were about a second off, you know, the likes of Ed Bars and all of them, which isn't a lot. So I think I've gotten a lot better in the wet, but I think my main issue was I just didn't have confidence in the brakes. I think through some of the low speed corners we got really good drives, but they weren't quite good enough. Or the drives on corner exit were good, but I just didn't have enough confidence on the brakes going into corners. I think as well, I don't want to be that guy, but I think the car was a little bit off. I've had a look at like some moments, like for example here, I go for this little switchback, I open up the steering earlier, I get on the power earlier, and I thought I had a better initial exit, but I didn't catch up down the straight. Now, I'm not blaming the car for this one at all. I blame the car a little bit for, you know, heat 1, heat 3 maybe as well. But I think in here I just need to get better in the wet. I think maybe there was a few tenths in the car, just because I would have had a bit more low end. But in general, I just need to improve. Rihanna Percoxo is on my rear hiney as we head into the final corner. I decide to brake, and Rihanna says, nah, I'm braking later. Goes round my outside because Rihanna is way better than me in the wet, and she takes the position. We end up coming home in P10, which, to be honest, it's a solid effort. Considering that's in the wet, and when I think back to Ella Park last year, I finished pretty much at the back of the A final. I'll take this. I will genuinely take this. I think this has been one of the most fun days of racing for me, especially if this race wasn't in the wet. If this final race, this A final, was in the dry, I would have loved this to bits. Maybe even more than Rye House, because, I don't know, the races just felt better here. I don't know, they just felt something a little bit cooler here at Llandow. But yeah, that's it. That's our racing. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe. It does help out the channel a lot. And we'll be back at Ella Park in a couple of weeks' time for round number 8 of the championship as we head into the final part of the season. We are still second overall in the championship, and with those final few rounds, a lot can still happen. Thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next one. Goodbye.